1973, in the Roe versus Wade case, the Supreme Court decided that the US Constitution guaranteed a right to privacy and thus legalized abortion. After that ruling, a variety of court challenges allowed states to place some limitations on abortion. Yet, for the period since 1973, the Supreme Court continued to uphold the right for a person to obtain an abortion. However, this changed in the Dobbs case this year, when the Supreme Court issued a decision in June that overturned Roe versus Wade and eliminated any federal protection of abortion rights. The basis for the Supreme Court decision was that rights that are not explicitly mentioned in the US Constitution must be deeply rooted in history and tradition in order to be guaranteed. The decision about whether abortion should be legal or not, and under what circumstances, is now a decision of the states. Some legal experts contend that other currently protected rights may also be vulnerable under this reasoning. And in a concurring opinion, one justice stated that federal protection for currently protected rights, such as contraception and same-sex marriage, should also be reconsidered. Although California law currently recognizes the right to privacy in its constitution and recognizes the right to reproductive freedom in both statutory and case law, Prop 1 seeks to further protect this right to privacy with respect to reproductive decisions by adding this right to the Constitution itself. Prop 1 would keep abortion and the use of contraception legal in the state as they currently are. It wouldn't change any in that regard. So if Prop 1, if passed, Prop 1 will change the California Constitution to specifically prohibit the state from denying or interfering with an individual's reproductive freedom in their most intimate decisions, which include their fundamental right to have an abortion and their fundamental right to use contraceptives. The intention of this constitutional amendment is to strengthen the constitutional right to privacy and the constitutional right to equal protection. There won't be any direct budget impact, or none are expected from Prop 1, because there will be no change made to the way the state funds contraceptives and abortion services. So who's in support? You can see over on the left here who's in support of the proposition. These groups say that California can no longer count on the federal government to protect our rights, so the state must enshrine the fundamental right to abortion and contraception in the California Constitution as extra protection. Doing this would ensure that only future state voters, not politicians or justices, could alter those rights. Most doctors, nurses, and health providers agree that it's necessary to keep reproductive medical decisions with individuals and their healthcare providers based on scientific facts and not on political arguments. And hopefully everybody's had time to look at those supporters. Those against Prop 1 are shown over here on the left side of the slide. The opponents say that women in California already have the right to choose an abortion under California law, and that the recent US Supreme Court ruling will not change this. Opponents see no need to change the California Constitution, and some of these opponents argue that the fetus has rights which should be protected. So again, following the money, if we look at how much has been spent to support and oppose the campaign, these propositions, you can see that again, almost 12 million has been spent in for, about 80,000 has been spent against. I want to mention something here. This comes from Voters Edge, this data, and they show on their website the top 10 contributors. We're just showing the top 5 in, in terms of how much money they've contributed. Okay, so to summarize, for Prop 1, if you vote yes, it means the California Constitution would change to expressly include rights to reproductive freedom. No, a no vote means the California Constitution would not change, and rights would continue under state law. Okay, so again, put any questions in the chat and we'll come back to those. And I think Dottie is going to take over from here.
Hello, everyone. And I'll be handling Prop 26 and Prop 27 because they both involve gambling. So Prop 26 would legalize in-person sports betting at casinos and horse racetracks. It would legalize roulette and dice games at casinos. This proposition is an initiative constitutional amendment statute. That means that supporters gathered signatures to place this on the ballot. If we look at the amount of money that they've raised for opposing or supporting this, it nets out to $10.86 per signature. The California Constitution generally prohibits gambling. Over the years, the Constitution has been amended to allow some forms of gambling in certain locations. The California Lottery, card rooms in which games similar to poker are played are legal. Betting on horse races is also legal. In Native American-owned casinos, slot machines and certain card games are allowed. On the other hand, sports betting in California is illegal. However, the lack of legal sports betting does not mean that Californians do not engage in it. An unpublished study from 2019 estimated that Californians were betting billions of dollars on sports, either through bookies or offshore companies. And current law does not prohibit fantasy league betting because it's not based on the scores of a real game, but rather involves adding up the points of individual players from a fantasy scenario. Native American tribe casinos do not pay state or local taxes, but they do pay state and local governments a fee based on their casino revenue at a rate that is negotiated by each tribe. Some tribes distribute a portion of the profits to tribal members, in which case tribal members may pay income tax to the federal government. If passed, Prop 26 would do the following. It would legalize in-person sports betting at Native American casinos and the 4 licensed racetracks in California. At racetracks, sports betting could only be offered to people 21 years of age or older. Age restrictions on sports betting at tribal casinos would need to be negotiated by California's governor and each tribe with each tribe, and then written into each tribe's compact with the state. It would also legalize roulette and dice games such as craps at tribal casinos. However, existing tribal state compacts would need to be amended before those games could be offered. The prop also creates a new enforcement of gaming laws, allowing anyone to bring a lawsuit if they believe the laws are being violated and the state justice department declines to act. Penalty and settlement monies that result would go to the state. The fiscal impacts of state and local governments are not certain, but state revenue would probably increase in the tens of millions of dollars each year. It is difficult to know the exact amount for a few reasons. New tribal state compacts might require tribes to pay more to local governments, and it is not clear how much money the state might receive as a result of new private lawsuits. Any revenue to the state would be allocated first to education spending commitments and regulatory costs. 70% of the money left over would go into the general fund, 15% would go to gambling enforcement, and 15% to problem gaming and mental health research. On the left side of the screen, you'll see the top 5, or well, you'll see a number of supporters of Prop 26. And those supporting Prop 26 say that it will continue to aid the Native American tribes in developing self-sufficiency and lifting them out of poverty. Casino revenue is mostly used to enhance schools, housing, public safety, and Native American community programs. Supporters say that in-person sports wagering will allow the casinos to offer additional games, which will bring in more revenue, not only for the tribes, but also for the state. Casinos in California currently create 150,000 jobs, and expanding casinos will increase the number of jobs created. Supporters argue that in-person sports betting will provide the strongest safeguards to prevent underage gambling. Finally, supporters say that Prop 26 will strengthen enforcement of California's gaming laws to crack down on illegal gambling. And over on the left side of the screen, you'll see those that are opposing Prop 26. And those that oppose Prop 26 say that this expansion of gambling will lead to more gambling addiction. They point out that Prop 26 is sponsored by 5 wealthy gaming tribes that want to expand their monopoly on gambling to include sports betting. Opponents fear that these powerful interests will use the new legal enforcement provisions in Prop 26 to put existing non-tribal card rooms out of business. And these card rooms are often in California's lower income communities of color, where they provide income as well as jobs. Opponents also say Prop 26 will expand gambling at horse racetracks to save an industry that injures horses. Finally, opponents argue that jobs at tribal casinos are non-union jobs and offer few benefits and little job security. And so here's the money page. So on the left side of the page, you can see the major donors and how much has been donated to support Prop 26. And on the right side, you'll see those that have donated the most to oppose it and the amount that has been raised to oppose it. So I'll leave that up there for a moment. All right. Okay, so if you vote yes on Prop 26, it means that tribal casinos and the state's 4 horse racetracks could offer in-person sports betting. Anyone can bring a lawsuit if they believe the laws are being violated and the Justice Department declines to act. Voting no means that sports betting would continue to be illegal in California, and roulette and dice games at casinos will not be offered. All right, now let's look at Prop 27. And Prop 27 would legalize online sports betting in California outside of Native American lands for individuals 21 and over. This prop is an initiative constitutional amendment and statute. Again, that means that supporters gathered signatures to place this on the ballot. And the amount of money raised, with the amount of money raised, it nets out to $18.87 per signature. Just as described in Prop 26, the California Constitution and laws define what types of gambling are allowed in the state. The rules governing Native American-owned casinos are set by compacts between the owner tribes and the state. Currently, betting on sports events is not legal in California. The U.S. Supreme Court, however, ended the federal prohibition on sports betting in 2018, opening the door for states to legalize the practice. About 35 states have taken that step so far. Since the California legislature has not passed legislation addressing sports betting, initiatives are being placed on the ballot to craft what would be legal in California. If passed, Prop 27 would legalize mobile sports betting and dedicate some of the revenue to California's Solutions to Homelessness and Mental Health Support account and to the Tribal Economic Development account. Licensed tribes or gambling companies who pay license fees could offer online sports betting over the internet and mobile devices to people 21 years of age and older on non-tribal lands in California. Online sports betting entities would be required to pay the state a share of their sports betting profit. A new state unit would be created to regulate online sports betting. New ways to reduce illegal online sports betting would be developed.
How much is that basket?
The fiscal, I think I'm going to ask if folks could mute their phone. I'm getting some background noise. The fiscal impact on the state and local budget, if Prop 27 passes, depends on a number of variables, such as the number of entities that offer online betting, the possible renegotiation of compacts between state and tribes that offer online betting, and the number of people that engage in online betting.